There we go.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Let me mute myself while you.
How do I put on these fresh?
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. We're just slowly letting some people in and then we can begin.
No problem.
Here, Victoria. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Hi. Maybe we wait just one more minute before we begin. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday. And thank you so much for joining us. Me and Tracy, Dr. Tracy. Just waiting a couple more minutes to see.
Yay! I know I know one person here, and I've got some new faces. So welcome. Glad you are here with us.
I'm gonna go get water really fast, and by the time if there's nobody else here, then I'll start.
This is when I should have like pump up music playing or something in the background to be like, "Hey, welcome! Wait till we get to the party started."
Yeah, that would be cute to have music at the beginning. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, because I've gone to like the Tony Robbins like 5-day events, and they always have that like pump up music playing with like a countdown thing going before they get the speakers on the screen to get everybody in the like mindset.
That
Or
would
they
be
start. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
that would be really cute to do, to be playing music for the host, or at least like for what motive. Yeah, you should do that. It's a good
Yeah,
note.
yeah. And sometimes they make people stand up. They're like, get up out of your seats and start
Yeah.
to stretch your body.
Yes, music is a good way to like connect everybody, and like relax everybody. Okay, well, I'm back from getting my water, so let's begin. Thank you again, everybody, for being with us. Tracy, do you want me to take in Jade's note taker?
Uh, you can take in her. I know she uses Loom. I don't know what the other one is, but
Okay, I'll do that one.
yeah. And maybe the other one is her, but I don't know. We can let it in and see. But
Okay.
if she
Okay.
doesn't show up, we can always take it out. But um, I know her, so
That's what, okay, there is somebody else, Erica. Yeah, there's always people that are running to the computer.
yeah. And what I learned about the note takers is that it's tied to your like calendar, so it logs you in even before if you're not there yet. So that
Like,
happens
fine.
sometimes.
All right. Bum, 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 bum. All right, everybody. It's 1:05 my time, 4:05 Tracy's time. I think we'll get started. Just so you have plenty of time, Tracy. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to be doing How to Pursue Big Goals Without Burning Out with Dr. Tracy Davis. Woo!
Thanks. I love that introduction. I love the LA actress energy. It's awesome. It's fantastic. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I appreciate Kirsten being here as a support for me too, doing our first workshop together here, which I love because we go to the Monday networking calls quite every week. So we see each other a lot there. And that's how I got introduced to Society Gal was by going to the networking every Monday. So if you're not going to that yet, it's a great place to chat with new people and get to know what each other's challenges are and some wins in your business and the things that you're kind of working towards, whatever those goals look like. And so I'm really excited to be here with you today and share my topic on how to achieve big dreams, big goals without burning out. So I'm going to go ahead and do the whole, let me try to share my screen and you can tell me if it's working. So we'll do this. Present. Ta-da! Okay, I can still see you. Are you all good here? Thanks, Victoria, for the heads up. I appreciate it. All right, so I am going to just, um, okay. So how to pursue big goals without burning out through systems, self-love, and sustainable success. These are three cornerstones of my mission right now in my personal life and how I hope to help other women and am helping other women do the same in their lives. So where did this start for me? This is my organization, the Heartwork Hub. But before that, I am just me. I am me. I am Tracy. I am an educator by training. I've been a teacher for a very long time, and I have a digital business online. And I'm a multi-passionate, and up until about, I'd say 4 years ago, I didn't even know that word existed. I just thought I was somebody who was all over the place, just trying new things, always running around from one thing to the next. And then I realized, no, multi-passionate is actually a person who is passionate about a lot of things. But when you're passionate about a lot of things, you can also be pulled in many directions. And so that is something that I experienced in my life. And so I had a time period in my early 20s, my mid 20s, my late 20s, I was going after the goals. At 22, I first started my doctorate. Spoiler alert, I didn't finish it then. I actually left and started it again later. I ran a half marathon at 29 because for me, everything was always about, oh, I'm not just gonna do the thing, I'm gonna do the thing. I wanted to learn how to do Zumba. I became a Zumba instructor. I was like, why not? Why not just go all out? And so I have always had big dreams and big goals, but along the way, I had to learn that sometimes it's okay to not go after all the way at the top, or sometimes it's okay if the dream takes a little bit longer and you give yourself the time to rest and to take small steps towards that goal. So I thought success meant pushing through everything. So I just want to jump. I'm probably going to jump back and forth here just between the slides and seeing you all here. So put a 1 in the chat if you also have big dreams or goals, whether you something you've already accomplished or something you're working toward now. Put a 1 if you are working towards big dreams or big goals or you have in the past accomplished something. Awesome. I see Kendra has put a 1. Victoria has put a 1. Reza, I don't know how to say that. Has put a 1. Erica, Martin, 1. Okay, yes, that is why you are here, right? We're here to talk about this. And so my question to you is, do you know somebody who has burnt out? Or have you ever felt that way? Whether you know somebody or whether you felt that, put a 1 in the chat. I just want to know where we are with that. Do you, yes, me, yep. You don't have to admit if it's you. It's okay. But if you feel comfortable, go for it because I'm about to share too. So, yeah, me every day. All right. I get that. I totally, totally get that. Right. So, we have these periods. And do you have any idea, do you think men or women experience burnout more? Just curious. Like I have a couple of research studies here and I'm just curious. Women, women, women. Yes, but men also experience pretty high rates too. So for women, it is higher, but for men, it's still pretty high. And I'm curious, what generation do you think reports the highest burnout? Like if you think about like baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, just curious. Boomers, millennials. Oh, I have some fellow millennials in the house, I think probably whatever generation I am. Yeah. So surprisingly, a recent research study shows that Gen Z is reporting the highest levels of burnout. And I have a theory about that. I have a theory that it is because we are now more open as a society to talking about this and like actually recognizing the symptoms. I have a really good friend who's in her 60s and she's been a business owner for a long time. And she has recently started saying no to things, recently started to embrace the realities of putting boundaries. And we've often talked about this generation gap we have because we're friends and talked about the fact of why is it that younger women, and she like thinks the younger women are so inspiring because she's like, you guys just you go for it or you say no. But I think as a society, we're still learning what that looks like. I'm still learning what it looks like. So my story, I'll just go back to share, since it sounds like maybe I have something in common with all of you here, is can you see? Let's see, I'm going back. Got the screen back up. Yay. This is so I recently, as in yesterday, went to a workshop on how to improve your online presentations. And one of the things was to go back and forth between your slides and talking with the people on your video. But it's a little bit of a navigational trickiness. So thank you for bearing with me. I appreciate it. So by the time I was 32, so I'm a millennial. I identify as a slightly elder millennial. I left my doctoral program at 24 to become a teacher, which was fine. For me, that was what was in alignment at that time. And that's another message I like to share, that it's okay to change your path if it doesn't feel right. If something doesn't feel like it's in alignment, it's okay to make that change. And I started a new program at 29, determined to get it right. But at the time, I was juggling full-time work, studies. I was a full-time high school teacher, almost a full-time doctoral student. I was still training and running. And the year before, I prided myself by filling my schedule to the max, by waking up at 4 in the morning to run every day, go teach all day till 4 o'clock, have classes from 4:30 to 7:30 at night, come home, grade, email parents, write my I like notes for the educational programming and all the things, and then repeated that cycle over and over, thinking this is the only way, this is what I have to do. And what happened is that I ended up burning myself out, and I ended up leaving the classroom as a full-time teacher to pursue other ways to finish my doctorate. And so my goal started with a pause at that point. I was about a couple years in, and I had to take a step back and say, what I'm doing isn't working, and I have to figure out a new way to do it. Can anyone else relate? Like, I see you said yes, you've been burned out. And so put a 1 in the chat if you have been looking for a different way or you feel like I need a new way to balance this because what I'm doing now isn't working. And maybe some of you have systems and strategies and tips that are working. And I love that. I love that. So if you have been there and you've found a strategy that has helped you kind of take a break from that burnout, put a 2 in the chat if you found some helpful strategies. I want to know if anyone has found some helpful strategies. Okay, we got Victoria putting a 2. I love it. Kirsten's 2. Okay, so Erica 2. I love it. I love it. So even though we have different challenges and we have faced burnout at different times, we still have found strategies along the way to help us and help us go through those things. So I just want to share again some of the strategies that I had to go through. So, oops, here. So what I did since then is that I have still managed to accomplish big goals, but I had to take them at a much slower pace and with much more alignment. So I managed to finish my dissertation, which if you know what the dissertation process is, or anyone has seen anyone go through that, you know it can be quite intense, and it's a lot of writing and a lot of sitting down at your computer and just having to sit for long periods of time. And what I realized is that forcing myself to sit for those long periods of time actually wasn't working for me. It wasn't working. I had to take a step back and then work at a slower pace. So then I would put time in my calendar to work for 30 minutes and then take a screen break because I couldn't stare at the screen for that much time. I managed to go to Norway. I moved abroad 2 times. And in my 20s, this is something I never thought that I would be able to do. I managed to navigate the visa process and figure out how to move abroad 2 times. I lived in Norway for 2 years and I lived in Spain for another year. And that's a whole nother workshop and conversation if anyone's interested in international travel or moving abroad a little bit older, because I know a lot of people do it in their 20s for school and things like that. And then I did, yeah, Norway and Spain, 2 different places too, but yay, super fun. And then I built a digital product business, and now I'm in the process of creating a life in alignment. And doing this presentation is one of those steps that I'm taking to reach that next phase of where I want to go. So I'm just curious, if you feel comfortable putting your goal in the chat, what is like, we're going to break it down later, but like, what is one big dream? Like big. I just want you to like go big. What's a big dream or goal that you have? Just go ahead and share with us in the chat. Or I'll give you a second to think about it. And if anybody wants to share, you're welcome to talk. We have learn social marketing campaigns, speak Spanish fluently, have a successful YouTube channel, Kirsten says, and a balanced schedule. Time freedom. Yeah. I don't have to feel like I need to work every day. I do understand that. I work with celebrities, but I want to be in the spotlight and know what I'm known for what I do in a more mainstream way. I love that. I love that. And I love that you're identifying those. Balance, right? Balance is a good goal too, because that is very hard to come by, and it takes intention. It takes intention for us to find the balance and seek that in our lives. So, does anyone want to share, or are we comfortable with the chat? Kirsten, you're on mute. Are you talking to us?
Yeah, I couldn't find my little mic thing. Oh, because my thing was too pushed over. I'm like, where's the microphone? Yeah, I completely agree with you of just I was moving so fast, I broke my foot. So I'm like definitely taking a lot from this conversation because I'm like, okay, I really need to like calm down and stop trying to do so much at once because like literally that's what just happened to me 4 weeks ago. And now the universe and my body have made me slow down and like really rethink how I'm moving in the world. And I really from here on out, I want to just move like more gracefully and like not need like to feel that I'm always in a rush. I feel like I'm always like rushing. And it's not good for my nervous system. And like as frustrating as having a broken foot is, it's making me like it's kind of like a timeout where I'm like, I like I have to walk slow right now. I can't run. I have to walk slow. I have to take my time. And I kind of like how it's going. It took me a minute to like get with this new program, but yeah, I think everybody can identify with just moving too quickly and feeling overwhelmed and like to do everything at once, and if you don't, then you're bad. So
Or maybe you've already figured out the ways to regulate it or ways to like recognize it before. Because you're breaking your foot is like the literal metaphor of you can't run. You have no choice now but to slow down. And
Uh-huh.
that's what happened to me is that I reached a point where I had to slow down. I had to stop. And I didn't necessarily want it, but it was something that was necessary. And so my hope is that we can start recognizing these things before we get to a forced pause. Like a forced pause is basically we have no choice at this point but to stop and reevaluate and try to figure out how to change things. But if we can recognize it before we get to a point where it's like forced, then we can, you know, kind of set ourselves up for more success down the line. Awesome. Did anyone else want to chime in, share about big goals or having to take time to rest? All right, thank you so much. Just wanted to thank you, Kirsten, for sharing. I asked her to jump in and share if nobody else was, so there's a little behind the scenes, but I appreciate that. But the forced pause has happened to me a couple of times, and each time it's shown me that I was glorifying the hustle in that it was the only way to achieve my goals rather than taking a bigger picture view of what's happening and figuring out where I could make the changes and the shifts to start being more in alignment for what I'm trying to do. I have a love-hate relationship with those forced pauses. I get that, right? COVID was a forced pause for many of us, and unfortunately, that was a really challenging time. But for some people, it provided an opportunity to slow down when that normally wasn't provided, especially when it comes to the workforce and being able to work remotely and giving people the option to see, wow, I can work remotely, which oddly enough, this same study that I was looking at that was studying burnout actually showed a slightly higher percentage of burnout for women who work remotely. So it's not necessarily a cure-all for, the work-life balance. And in fact, it could be potentially more difficult if you don't have a balance because your work is literally in your life then. Like it literally is your life. And so that makes it much harder to separate it out if you don't seek that intentional way of to build in those separations. Like when I first started working from home, I would tell people to literally like if they couldn't work in another area, like they had to work in their bedroom. For me, I had to work in my kitchen. I put like a box around my stuff so that I didn't see it at night because I just needed the visual of this is not my office anymore. This is my kitchen now, and just to create that separation for work life. So it depends kind of where you are in that what you're looking to what you can do, but small shifts like that could be a way for you to do to make just a small shift. So what we want to start doing is thinking about how can we create systems that keep our vision big, like keep us still working towards it, but not pressure you. So, for example, as Victoria said in the chat, you want to learn Spanish fluently, right? You can't learn Spanish overnight. It's not going to happen, but you might wake up a year from now and realize, wow, I can speak Spanish pretty well. But you're not going to wake up a year from now speaking Spanish well if you don't do anything. So, how can you create a system that allows you to work towards that, but not pressure yourself to have it all figured out right now? So, you want to start identifying where it is in your schedule, in your time, that you can give yourself a goal. And maybe that goal is small to start with. Maybe it's just I'm going to open my app and put a timer on, and I'm going to be in my Spanish learning app for 10 minutes. I'm just going to do 10 minutes. I'm not going to pressure myself to do more than that. I'm going to start where I can. Just curious, has any of you heard of Atomic Habits by James Clear? Put a one in the chat if you've heard of that, just so I know. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Yes. Okay, I've got some yes, some no's. Okay, yes, Erica says Atomic Habits is great. So during my time when I was going through this, the in between, and I will say I'm still a work in progress. We all are. Because that's the thing I've learned is that your systems will change with your circumstances. Your systems will change as you change to be a different version of yourself, as you change physical locations, if you have to move, if you change jobs, if your life situation changes, whether you have kids, whether you have don't kids, whether you're caring for parents or family members. There are so many situations in your life that are going to cause you to have to reevaluate and shift your systems. But when I was going through one of my transformational periods, I read Atomic Habits. So if you haven't read that yet, I do recommend it. I mostly read through the book thinking, wow, this is so simple. This is so simple. But it's not. It's not simple. It sounds simple, but in practice, it's actually much more difficult to be disciplined and consistent. And so the premise really is on that atomic level, on the smallest level. What is something that you can change or do on the smallest level that's going to take you to the next step of where you want to go? So if you want to run a half marathon, I ran a half marathon. And I couldn't do it now. I'm not trained at all. Trust me, I couldn't do it today, but I did it then 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I had a plan. And James Clear uses the example of put your sneakers next to your bed or sleep in your workout clothes. And maybe you don't run. Maybe you don't walk that first day, but you see your sneakers, you see them, and then maybe the next day you put them on. Maybe the next day you actually walk to the kitchen. Maybe the next day you walk outside. And so you have to start building these habits small on top of the other. So if you are learning Spanish, that's why I told Victoria, you don't need to go hire a Spanish tutor on the first day. Maybe you might want to do that in the future, but if you don't have time and you can't focus, start where you are. Start where you are. If you are at that level, do it. If you're not, start at the level of a timer on your app for 10 minutes. And it's the same thing when we think about rest, when we think about getting ourselves out of the hustle, when we think about finding solutions to our burnout and our, we think, what can I do? I don't have time to take a day off. I'm too busy. I can't take a day off. Okay, but can you close your eyes at your computer for 1 minute? Can you take a deep breath in and out? Okay. Small things like that over time make big differences. And I know that's not like a long-term solution to everything that you're trying to solve, but it is a way to help you become more grounded and start kind of pausing when you recognize that you're getting in those moments where you are hustling. So I just am curious, how often do you check in with yourself throughout the day? Do you just ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? And do you check like where you feel it in your body? How often do you do that? I'm curious. One time a day, just put it in the chat. 2 times a day, 3 times a day, not at all. Couple times a day. Three sometimes. Okay, so some of you, yeah, it depends on the day, not enough. Yep. So it is good to have these moments of pause. And if you don't have them naturally kicking in, you can add them onto your calendar. You can set a time to pause and reflect. I sometimes will set an alarm on my phone. I will literally set like a few alarms throughout the day to check on my energy and just see how I'm doing. Because sometimes it's also still easy for me to get into the work mode where I work, 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 and then all of a sudden I realize I'm really tired because I haven't taken a moment to just stop and pull back. And so giving yourself the time and space and permission to ask yourself how you're feeling is really important. So awesome. How are we doing so far? Everybody following along? We're good? Okay, I love it. So we're thinking about how we can make different small shifts to create our systems that are going to work for you. So what are some ways that we can do this? Some actionable items that you can try. I love to-do lists, mainly because I like to write things down and I like to check them off. But what I used to do was write a really long to-do list, and at the end of the day realized that I didn't do anything on my list. So then I wrote something down that I actually did do just so I could check it off. And then I kept myself in this cycle of just wanting that dopamine hit of checking something off my list and not actually doing the things that were moving me forward in a positive way at that time. So there are different things that you can try. You can try to do a priority list instead of a long list of many things. You can do this on a weekly basis or a daily basis. When I was finishing my dissertation and planning the travel and moving and everything that I was doing, I would every morning decide what was the most priority item that I had to work on or the highest priority item. So I would use that morning time to clarify what is it that I'm going to do that I need to focus on, and then that would be my goal for the day. Time blocked calendar. Curious, does anyone use time blocking here? And put a 1 in the chat. And if you don't know what time blocking is, then go ahead and put 0, just so I know like where if I need to pause back and go back a little bit on that. Okay, so 1, 0. Okay. So time blocking is how you can claim back part of your day. And so perhaps you have a couple of ways to look at it. You can do like a longer term time block where you chunk your day into 3 big chunks. And during the first chunk, you do really high focus energy work. The second chunk, maybe you're doing like a specific project or task. And then the third chunk is maybe like family stuff, whatever you need to do. So you can chunk it that way, or like I do, I put different blocks on my calendar for different action items I need to do. So I have to do my social media planning, thanks to Victoria. I work on my social media. And on Fridays, I have it blocked to my calendar to spend an hour or two every Friday planning for the week ahead. So I'm creating content, creating my content calendar so that when it comes time to post, I'm not scrambling every single day. So I use time blocking to keep myself ahead. When I was writing, when I was moving, I was doing the same thing just to say that this specific time was for a purpose. A goal tracker for tracking how you're doing and how you're feeling. One thing I also did during that time was use my notes, voice notes for myself, just sharing voice notes and automating small tasks. Email for me was a huge distraction. So now I check my email only at certain times a day, and I maintain a 0 inbox. And a trick to that, if you want to do a 0 inbox and you just have tens of thousands of emails to start with, is to go ahead and just archive everything. Archive it and then start your system from scratch so you don't have to do it. And then a morning ritual for clarity so that you don't just jump right in. I'm curious, anyone here have a morning ritual or anything that you do in the morning to get you started for the day? Yes. Okay. I love it. Yes. Yep. Wonderful. Does anyone want to share anything that you do, anything that helps you? You can put it in the chat or you can talk, whatever you feel comfortable. How can you archive your whole email? Okay, that's like a whole workshop in itself on email management. So I'll have to come back to you on that. But yeah, it is like the quick solution to like get you started on inbox 0 instead of having to categorize. So you can Google and YouTube it, and I'm sure you can find something. If you can't, you can message me and I'll help you. Because that is literally what I did with my Gmail that I've had since 2005. I think I started inbox 0 in 2018 or 2019. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do with all these emails? Just archive them and start over. So that's what I did. Yeah. Get 4 kids ready for school. Okay, you are busy getting 4 kids ready for school. That busy is an understatement, I'm sure. Like trying to rush around, get everybody up and going. So it's really difficult to sometimes find a rhythm if you don't have a consistent routine. And I say morning ritual because it doesn't have to be a morning routine. If you don't have the time, a lot of those books, if you've ever read The Miracle Morning, has anyone ever read The Miracle Morning? If you put a 1 in the chat, if you read Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, just curious. If you've read it, you've heard of it. Okay. The premise is your miracle morning has a certain amount of components. I don't remember all of them now, but essentially one is like 10 minutes of exercise, 10 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes of something else, but it's about an hour. And not all of us have an hour to do those things in the morning. If you can make the hour, I think it would be helpful, but the reality is we don't all have the ability to do that. And so I say create some kind of morning ritual, something that starts your day off with a really positive note for you. And it could be as simple as walking into the bathroom and giving yourself that self love affirmation in the mirror of like, I am amazing and I'm going to have the best day ever. That positive self talk in the mirror to start your day could be the 30 seconds that you need just to kind of get jump started on that morning ritual. Another way just to find little pieces of joy in the morning, just drink out of your favorite coffee mug and maybe get a couple of them so you can rotate it. Because I know sometimes I'll be like, oh, that coffee mug, the one I really want is in the dishwasher. So it's something sounds silly, but these are small things that can help us have a positive start to our day that we can do, especially if we're busy trying to get kids ready for school or kind of whatever we have to do to get the day going. So definitely those are things that we can do. And so um, you are the most important part of the plan. You are the most important part of any big goal that you have. So, these are the things that I have been focusing on and I hope can be helpful to you. Journaling, self reflection, and setting boundaries. And I'll explain that a little bit more here in a minute. And rest as something that we put into our day, whether that is looking at in the mirror in the morning for an extra 30 seconds and giving ourselves a pep talk, whether that's taking a moment to pause and do a couple of deep breaths, or whether that is going for a walk if we have more time to do that, or taking a nap. Kirsten and I were talking about that. She said she's not a napper, but I'm a napper when I can, so I try to do that. But we want to start with baby steps, these atomic habits, these small actions that we can take to make a difference. So, these are some of the things that I've been talking about. Starting your day with one kind affirmation instead of rushing into things. Like, I used to just, especially when COVID first started and I was working on my computer, so I say that I left teaching to work on my doctorate, but I also had 3 part-time jobs during that time and working at the university. So essentially, I had 4 jobs. But because of the types of energy that was needed for those jobs, it was easier for me to balance that than being a full-time teacher at the time. And so for me, when COVID hit and I was all of a sudden working from home, I would jump right out of bed, log right into my computer. And now I take it a bit slower. I do the mirror affirmation. And during the middle of the day, pausing to reflect. Kirsten and I were just talking about that before the call. I was saying that I was feeling a little bit tired and a little kind of, I needed a bit more time to pause before this workshop. And so I did take like about 5-10 minutes to do some breathing, not a deep meditation, but just something to calm myself down. One of the other things that I was talking to a friend about just today, my friend who's a bit older, that we have the age gap on in terms of talking about the things that we still struggle with, and that is saying no. Saying no to people, saying no to things that don't serve us, and it's really, really difficult. And so I have another meditation that I did on visualizing saying no so you could practice what that feels like. Because if you're a type of person who is like me and you like to make people happy, saying no can be a very difficult thing to do. So I want to challenge you to I try to identify one thing this week that's draining your energy and think about how you can say no to that thing, that person, whatever it is, and just take it might be difficult in the moment, but realize that it's for your greater good of whatever your dream or goal is. Because if you're trying to achieve these big dreams and these big goals, or this balance that we're talking about, it involves saying no to things that aren't in alignment with those goals. I have been a volunteer on so many projects and so many amazing things that I've been able to do to help organizations and to help people. But there were periods where I had to say no when I was asked to take on additional volunteer work or things like that. And and that's difficult at first, but you can practice being able to do that. Swapping your harsh self-talk with a gentle reframe. So this is about changing the language. I'm behind. I didn't reach my goal. What am I going to do now? Allow yourself to say, I'm moving at my own pace. Like I'm moving at the pace that's right for me. And maybe I'm not where I thought I would be, but I'm further than I would have been if I hadn't done anything. So I want you to give yourself credit for something small and not just the big things. So I just want to take a moment now. If you want to share in the chat, like something that's a small win, something that's a small win for this week. Like it can be the smallest thing. It doesn't have to be a big thing. What is something that you can look at this week and say, wow, I'm really glad I did that? Or wow, that was a really good win for me this week. What can we share that we experienced? Finish an interview that that's amazing. Finish an interview that's wonderful. I've stuck with my nightly journaling routine. Okay, trying to get into a new routine of journaling. I love that. A networking meeting this morning. Didn't want to do it, but glad you went. Okay, I'm glad that you feel like it was worth that, right? So, the good thing about going to something that you don't want to do is the reflection piece that you can do after, because then you can say, wow, I'm glad I went. I'm glad I pushed through that moment and I went. Or next time you could say, that really wasn't worth my time. Am I going out of guilt? Am I going out of have to? Am I going out of shoulds? I should do this. I should do this. This is something too, is to watch for those should thoughts. If you hear a should thought coming in, ask yourself, should I? Do I really need to? Or am I being conditioned from some other way to think that I should do this, whether that's pressure from someone else or pressure externally? So thinking through that, but I'm really glad to hear that that was a win for you. I love that. That's amazing. I hosted my first workshop. Is that right now? Yay! Yay, Kirsten. I love it. I'm going to say that for myself too. Got accepted to the leadership program with the Chamber of Commerce. That's awesome. And scheduled a one-on-one with me. Yay, we're going to catch up again. I love it. Awesome. Fantastic. So I am going to say, I was talking to a few people recently about my big dreams and big goals, and sometimes the big ones feel kind of scary to say out loud if it seems really big. So, for example, one of my big dreams and goals is one day I'd love to be speaking on a stage. And I said this a few weeks back, and that is the first time I ever admitted it. And I was like, wow, I'd love to be able to do something like what Mel Robbins does. Wait, who am I? Who am I? Like, who am I to say something that's so big, right? And so what I have to do is put myself in the energy of that big goal. And when I was asked and talked to Kirsten and Society Gal about doing a workshop like this, I've been a teacher, I've taught virtually, but speaking and doing workshops like this is still new for me. And at first, I wasn't sure if I should do it. And I was like, no, you have to take the small steps because that's how you continue learning. You learn and you get better and you grow from it. So, whatever the big goal that you're working is, start to take the small steps. I love that you already have your wins here, and we've already identified that we have big dreams and big goals. And TED Talk would be a next, like a next step. I actually was just looking to see if we had any in the area. And one of the other things I've done in the last year, and I haven't been in a year, but because I moved to Spain and I left, but right in the US the year before, I joined a group called Toastmasters International. Has anyone heard of Toastmasters? Yeah, a couple of people. It's a group to help you with public speaking. So I haven't gone in a year, but it's a way for me again to get those skills. So if there is a goal or something you're working towards, what are some ways that you can put yourself in that energy? Now, I couldn't maintain it when I moved to Spain. The reality was with my schedule, even though it was on Zoom and virtual, I had to say no for that time period. And that's okay. I had to say no because it wasn't aligned with where I was at in my life and it started to feel overwhelming. And so that's the point with the check ins that I want you to get to the point where you start to notice these things before it gets to overwhelm. And so you can maybe say, man, I wish I could do this right now, but perhaps it's not the right time. Perhaps I have to reevaluate in another 6 months or another year and decide then if it is worth my time at that time. So I want you to think about here, just I'm going to close it out with a few things here. So, first, thinking about creating structure, whether that is as simple as a weekly focus, a morning ritual or routine, theme days. Like I said, Fridays is now the day that I do my social media planning because I know Fridays I don't want to be doing a lot of big things or like stack my schedule too high. So I do that on Fridays. Um, Use a system like old school. If you like to write on a planner, go for it. Use your Google Calendar or your calendar. I use my calendar to time block and put everything in. I put everything that I need to do in there. And then schedule rest before you hit the wall. Try to recognize it in those moments. And the more you practice it, the more you'll start to identify when that is coming, especially if you have boundaries with like clear starts and end to your work, or your time blocks, whatever it looks like. And I don't want you to be like Kirsten and me, where you end up in a forced pause. Try to normalize pauses as a good thing and not see it as a bad thing. It's not a sign of failure. It's part of the process, and it is something that you can do just to keep yourself moving forward. And then anchoring back to self love. I know Victoria talked about journaling. I started this like journal here. The time is now. I have pages and pages and pages of journaling. Another really, really great book that I read is called The Artist's Way. I don't know if anyone has heard of The Artist's Way. This book is about really getting your creativity and your spark. And one of the things that they talk about in this book is doing something called morning pages, where every morning you write 3 pages just of whatever comes to your head. And so for journaling, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be a complicated prompt. It could just be something like taking 10 minutes to just dump what's in here and get it out on paper. And just that act of getting that all on paper can bring you so much clarity. And and I know it sounds simple, but it's actually, again, like the atomic habits, it's difficult to put into a consistent practice. Just like anything, consistency is the way that you're going to build these muscles to recognize how to get to these big goals without burning out, recognizing what your energy level is, having consistency. And then going back to that self-love, talking kindly to yourself, not putting yourself down when you don't meet a deadline, not putting yourself down when something doesn't go your way, but reframing how you can speak to yourself in a kind and loving way and say, does this goal still feel aligned or just something urgent in the moment that I need to take care of it? So before I go to the next part, I just want to ask you to take a moment to pause. And visualization for me is one of the biggest tools that I've had to get to each level that I've been, whether that is going to finish my doctorate, whether that's moving abroad 2 different times, navigating the process and saying, I'm going to do the thing. How do I get there? I don't know. I'll figure out the steps by taking small aligned steps along the way, but I'm going to do the thing. So I'm just going to take about 2, 3 minutes. If you want to close your eyes, I'm just going to ask you to visualize. And if you're on video and you don't want your eyes closed on video, you can just turn your video off for a second if you feel uncomfortable. It's totally up to you. If you don't feel uncomfortable, then I just want you to listen. And I'm just going to ask you to just listen and visualize your big goal. And the thing is that you are really working for and that you want to achieve. So if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes or just listen carefully. Take a slow, deep breath in and let it go. One more. Breathe in deeply and release. Now, I want you to bring to mind your big dream, that goal you've been carrying. Maybe it's finishing the laundry. Maybe it's growing your business. Maybe it's learning Spanish fluently. Maybe it's starting a whole new career. Maybe it's being a social media marketing genius. And maybe it's simply creating more space for you to be you. I want you to see yourself there. I want you to imagine that moment when it's complete. Notice how it feels in your body. What's the expression on your face? What's the energy in your chest, your breath, your shoulders? Now imagine the path you took to get to this place. It was not one of struggle and exhaustion, but it was one of steady, consistent steps. You set boundaries, you honored your energy, you asked for support. And every small, aligned action brought you closer. Let yourself really feel it. What does this success feel like? And how amazing does it feel to win without burning out in the process? Take one more deep breath in, filling with gratitude for the version of you that is already capable and already worthy. Exhale and let go of anything that doesn't serve your journey forward. And affirm to yourself, I can achieve big things without abandoning myself. And when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes and bring that energy back to us together. So for me, the visualizations are super helpful, and it's a way to put yourself in the energy of the person that you're becoming and the goals that you're trying to achieve, and remind yourself that it's okay if you're not there yet, because every small, consistent step and every boundary that you give is getting you closer to those things. Now, I have two things that I wanted to share really quickly. Um, so one thing I have in my email list, um, and I don't know if Kirsten, I can send that to you or how that works, or you can just look for my website or something, but there are a few things I have for free that you might find helpful. One is I have Say No with Love scripts. So you can practice saying no. It's like 10 different versions of how you can say no with love in different scenarios. And then I have the aligned action matrix. And so this is a matrix where you can actually have some ideas on how to plan for times when you're either high energy or low energy. And so you can create a system for yourself by writing in these tasks ahead of time so that you're not like, oh, I have an hour to fill right now, but I don't have a lot of energy. What should I do? And you're just bopping around and you don't get anything done. This might help prevent those moments of like making no progress to allow you to at least keep taking small steps towards your goal, whatever that is. So these are two things I have. And I also have a community on School, which is a free resource for um, ambitious women who are heart-centered and want to achieve big goals and really focus on the self-love and the self-care piece, which is what I love to do and what I love to share with people. So, anyone else feel like putting anything in the chat or sharing what you do for self-love? I'd love to know, how do you practice self-love? I see Kirsten loves The Artist's Way. So if you haven't read The Artist's Way, definitely check that out. It's a great read for creative ideas. Erica says Toastmaster totally pushes you in a good way. Yes, Toastmasters does it pushes you to try, get out of your comfort zone. Walking the dog. Yeah, taking the time to walk the dog is so it can be so peaceful for a lot of people. Meditating, journaling, 8 hours of getting your full sleep. Yep. Allowing yourself to get the sleep if you can. Having a night routine. Yes, shower, face, teeth, hair, love to ourselves. Yes, and all the positive ways to take care of ourselves. I didn't catch it. Will you share that grid resource with us? I can share it right now in the chat. If you give me a second, I'll pull it up on my computer and I'll drop the link. Um,
I also want to just say, like, I totally love and promote Tracy's free group that she's a part. It's like a bunch of awesome women, like, reaching for their goals. And she just posts like journaling prompts every day and does journaling sessions. So it's a really nice way to like ground yourself daily and see other people's inspiration. But also, I don't know, are you doing that monthly, Tracy? The journaling calls. Anyways, it's a really been a really great way. So I highly recommend joining that if you're interested in those things. Tracy, I wonder if you can put that in the chat too, if anyone's interested in joining.
yes, I can drop that in there if anyone is interested. I'm looking,
Yay.
these are my Say No with Love scripts that you can get on the email list. And then I'm gonna put my email here because I have to get the matrix. I have it somewhere else. But my email is hello@theheartworkhub.com. You can find me there. And I just want to thank you all for, I didn't want to plug myself too much because I wanted to talk with you and share with what everything with this workshop and share resources and spend most of the time on that kind of thing. So I'm happy to connect further with anyone who wants to connect, join my email list or email me. If you email me, I will send you the matrix. I was just trying to see where I have the link for that because I thought I had it linked to my email sign up, but I don't actually because I gave it away as a free resource to my email list as just a link. And then my school group. is here. And Kirsten, I don't know if you have anything else because the time, I want to respect people's time, so I definitely don't want to go beyond the time.
No, I'm just so grateful that I was able to be here today, and also I'm so grateful that all of you were able to come. That was a really um great talk. I took a lot from it, and I definitely want to get these grids.
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. I'm testing the link to see if it's the right one.
And is school with the KO, that's the thing that Victoria was talking about?
Yes.
I'm gonna take that too. Yeah, it just motivates me to, like, I had started journaling also at nighttime, but then I like have not been doing it the last couple weeks. And now I'm like definitely inspired to get back to my journaling because it's really powerful.
It's so powerful. And like the journaling, I've hosted 2 live journaling sessions so far, and just the time to be intentional to pause together for about like 40 minutes and go through prompts and really take that intentional space has been just some transformational, amazing. Just in the 2 times I've done it so far, it's been fantastic.
Then when you journal, you write with your hand, right? Or do you,
Sometimes I provide a Google Doc in with all the prompts already in there. So anyone who wants the digital, they can. So you can do it. I do digital sometimes, but then sometimes, yes, I just like
I
have
like
my
to write with my hand. There's something that happens, like that stuff comes out when you're writing that you're like, whoa, I didn't know I felt this way. It's really powerful. I mean, typing's cool too, but there's something about writing that's a little different.
Yes, and writing takes longer. So actually writing is more, it can be more intentional to give you that time to like have it go from here to like
Uh,
actually the physical act of writing it out. So I think any way you can do journaling is good, but I do also find the writing is very good. Especially that's why the Artist Way recommends the 3 handwritten pages every morning.
oh, yep,
So
yep.
yeah. Um, so yeah, thanks. Yeah, so thank you all. Leah said thank you for the positive vibrations. I love it. I love it. Thank you all so much for spending your time with us today. And I'm really happy that we got to spend this time together. And for me, I'm going to continue taking notes. I'm sure Victoria was taking a ton because I saw her writing. So if I had to guess, she's taking notes on how I can improve for next time. So I love that. I love I don't know if you were, but I would appreciate it if you can give me feedback later. So, thank you all for being here and spending this hour with us today. And I want to be your biggest cheerleader. Go after your goals, but don't forget about you. Take care of you in the process, okay? Make sure you take care of you.
Yeah, you have to put your own mask on first, before you can put anyone else's mask on, which is sometimes hard to remember, but it's the truth.
I love Erica wishing all your goals come true little by little. I love it. Yay.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.